So welcome to Intermediate, a podcast for Santam Brokers. I'm Maya Fisher-French, personal finance editor at City Press and Maya on Money. And each month, I'll be joined by Andrew Coutts, head of intermediated distribution at Santam. We're going to share insights on everything from new products and digital tools to industry regulations and developments relevant to you, the intermediary. On today's show, our second episode, so I hope you've caught the first one, we're going to look back on 2017. As the year draws to a close, we'll look back at what happened during the year and, more importantly, lessons learned by Santam during what was, let's be honest, a tumultuous period. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you, Maya. Nice to be. I look forward to these discussions.
Well, okay, let's deal with 2017 because it was a year to forget, full of horrible weather, tragic events, and I'm sure a lot of insurance claims. Your perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's no doubt that we'll call it a very challenging year. But in so many ways too, I mean, how rewarding has it also been? Again, we talked a little bit in our first podcast about the move from being about the what of insurance, the how of insurance, the what being the products, the how being the value propositions, to the why. Why do we offer insurance? And here's been a fantastic opportunity to sell why insurance is so important. Maybe a little personal story. I've got two little girls, Jess and Maddie, and Jessie's 7 and Madison is 5. And we were lying in bed the other night and doing our little good night stories and saying our prayers and all the rest. And suddenly Jess turns around to me and says to me, "Daddy, what do you do?" So I said to my little girl, "I'm in insurance." And of course, I should have expected the follow-up question. So, "Daddy, what's insurance?" And so how do you explain insurance to a 7-year-old? But we had just had these very big hail events up in the West Rand, and there were all these pictures around these very big hailstones, and I'd shown them. And of course, being insurance, the first thing that starts happening, your phone starts going, you get all the pictures in the world. and obviously the floods in Durban happened at the same time, and all those cars. So I said to Jess, do you remember all that damage we saw from the hailstones, and we saw all those cars that were sort of floating in the water, and we saw all those buildings that were washed away? She says, "Yes, Dad, I remember." I said to her, "My job is to give those people new cars and new homes." And she says to me, "Daddy, I was thinking, I want to be in insurance one day." And I think it brought it home to me. It's been such a challenging year. But what if there wasn't insurance? How many people's lives have we been able to influence? I think I wanted to put that out there. I think to all intermediaries out there who've made a difference, know that you've made a difference. This has been a year that we can also look back and say there's been some real difference that we've made to people's lives. So maybe I wanted to put out
I think you are your daughter's superhero now. She's going to go to school and tell everybody you're her superhero.
Long may that last. But maybe also I want to pick on just some sort of reflections. There's definitely been some real external factors that have had an influence, and then there's been some internal factors. So there's no doubt that where we are now, from an external factor perspective, the economics, our economy is having an impact. When you spend on maintenance, you perhaps don't use the best suppliers out there. You perhaps don't do everything that might have been on your wish list up front. So just your housekeeping is definitely being impacted in terms of our commercial exposures, etc. Politics is real. There's never been more uncertainty, I think, certainly in a long time in our country. And that means we're seeing the impacts of riot and all those kind of things. Now, that just creates this unease again in the market. So the politics is having an influence. Then we've also got the dynamics of our market reality. So for a long time in the insurance space, been working in what we call a soft market. So there's been reinsurance capacity. There's always been the ability to move a risk from one insurer to another and find better terms. We've tended always to take last year's schedule and see if we can't take 20% off the price. So we've operated in a soft market condition, which has really taught clients that they can always get insurance, no matter what, really. And this whole concept of risk transfer, risk sharing, has been, doesn't matter, my insurance company will pay for it if anything has gone wrong. So the market conditions have certainly led to a space where now suddenly we're having tough conversations and there is no market. Clients are finding it difficult to adapt. So I mean, there's been some real learnings in that space around risk management and the importance. Insurance is not risk management. Risk management is risk management. Insurance is a way to protect against something that happens despite your good risk management. And we need to get that conversation back in the markets. That's been a learning. We've also we've clearly seen the effect that a lack of service delivery and enablement from our local municipalities has also unfortunately had a particular impact on risk. So water pressure in pipes, aging infrastructure, ability to respond to fires quickly, the right equipment to do that, the right knowledge about how to respond to disaster management is definitely having an impact on how we manage risk. So we're seeing that knock-on effect. And those, I guess, are external factors that we can't move away from. And I'm also on an internal, looking at the internal factors, how we've seen individual losses happening. So more than 50% of our fires this year have happened because of lack of electrical compliance, really. So it's happened as a result of there being spark arresters in chimneys, or your actual hot works, or particularly, your electricity things creating fires through that. And so there's no doubt that whole environment has had an impact. So electrical maintenance has been really important. We have an environment we don't really always treat regulations as hard and fast rules. So we've definitely seen regulatory compliance. So we don't always comply with proper spatial requirements around, buildings in industrial areas. So we're building too close to each other. We don't follow building or municipal lines around flood lines. We've got lots of new developments going up within the 20-year flood lines, which never used to happen a couple of years ago. So this whole building regulations and compliance with building regulations is something that we perhaps don't always do. And then there's the duty of good care. If you're going to be welding in your business, they're having a proper hot works permit to make sure that you can't be welding and while something is falling on a pile of throwaway rubbish in the corner, that obviously creates, extends your fire risk, etc. So there have been a couple of things like that are really also having a big impact on our experience during the year.
Let's also, this is very close to home, being from Cape Town. But, we're talking about this last year. We've got this drought that we're in the middle of, and you're talking about government response and also low water pressure. Are the risks building tremendously here? Are we being a bit naive if we're not worried about the insurance risks here?
Absolutely. The risk on the ground has fundamentally changed. And we are getting the questions from our intermediaries, is my client still protected? So your client is still protected. But I do think that there is a duty of care that's embedded into every insurance contract. And there's a real role that we need to play around making sure that we manage this as a collective. So from an intermediary perspective, this is an opportunity for us to really show how we know our clients. From a client perspective, it's still something that you want to manage. You want to stop your building from burning. When there's low water pressure or no water pressure, your sprinkler system is not going to work. It's not going to be an effective mechanism. So are you thinking about other alternatives? Are you compartmentalizing your risk to make sure that the spread of fire risk is limited? Are you managing your fire load and that the use of your combustible materials and where they're positioned in your building? Are you keeping your pathways clear? Are your electrical compliance certificates up to date? Are you spending... So I think what we're really emphasizing is that it is a tough time. It's not a risk that can be fundamentally shouldered by the insurance company only. That wouldn't be sustainable. We all have a collective responsibility to make sure that within the risk environment that we're in, we're doing things that are necessary to protect our fire exposure in particular. And that would include perhaps relooking at how we service risks. In some instances, you might need to put in water tanks with pressurized pump systems if that's the best way to do it. But there are other mechanisms. I guess it's an opportunity for intermediaries to really showcase advice, for insurers to show their flexibility as to how they understand and mitigate risks, and for clients to show true commitment to working with intermediaries and insurers to get through what will be a tough time for all of us.
So it's December. We're all going to go on holiday, enjoy the festive season. And what do you think brokers should be telling their clients about mitigating risk over December?
Yeah, so we spoke about it earlier, but perhaps the nicest thing about the 1st of January for us is our loss ratio does start again at naught. So bring it on. But I guess also, a year like this, we all look forward to the break that comes at the end of the year. But it is also a higher risk season from an insurance perspective. So I think for all those people traveling out there, we want to say travel safely. To do that, check your car. Is your car roadworthy? Look for windscreen chips, check your shocks, your tires, all those things. That would be, I suppose, some basic advice. Also know that whilst you're away, when last did you have your alarm system checked? Is that working as you'd like it to do? So keep an eye on that sort of thing. The other thing we often see over the holiday period is you leave your house with a freezer full of frozen food, etc., and you come back and it's not quite the same because the chance of there being a power cut whilst you're away again is
probably quite high. So I have to bring an anecdote. I had a friend that came and she basically said it looked like something had been slaughtered in her house on the freezer with all the meat and defrosted.
It doesn't look the same afterwards. So that is something that we would recommend that you look at. But it's also something, so we do know this. It's something we do every year. We do give our clients over this period 10% extra cover on their contents. It's a little, it's perhaps not everything, but it's certainly something that we think, just recognizes that we want to give you a little bit extra over this time too. We try to do it every year. It's a program that adds some value to our customers, which is really important, and it's a nice selling point just over this festive season. There's not a lot for free these days, and I guess this is one way I hope that we can make a little bit of a difference.
So, we focused a little bit on all the negative things that happened this year, but surely some things went right. What went right?
No, absolutely. There's always two sides to a coin. On the positive side, I think we're very happy with the growth that we've achieved this year. So our growth to June has been 14%, and in an economy that's not growing, the fact that we've been able to realize some really good, strong growth talks to the value of the intermediaries. We're an intermediate business, so it talks to the value proposition being understood and realized by clients. So we've really been able to grow through this period. I think we've also been able to achieve some real fundamental shifts. And we talked in our previous podcast about how Santam is taking corporate citizenry a lot more seriously. And I think we've seen some real traction in two particular partnerships. So we have our partnership for risk and resilience that we're doing with local government. So we've worked with local government to identify key areas where we can add value as Santam, particularly around risk protection and risk management. We have a structured plan to roll out to 51 municipalities over time, reaching more than 5 million households. And I think that's really starting to make some, and that's talking to trying to work with government to address some of the base systemic risks in our business. So I think that's very valuable. We've also had a successful partnership with the FPSA, the Fire Protection Association of South Africa, and I think that's helped us reach over 20,000 individuals around fire protection, particularly in poorer communities where, again, if you can stop the spread of fire quickly, we're putting some smoke detection units into those communities. So I think there's been a real focus on adding some value in uninsured segments as well in our market and changing the risk on the ground. We were also recognized by SACSI as the top insurer in the year. And again, that's a great accolade because that's coming from clients. And their experience is typically, again, service around advice and service around claims. So those are very important. And we were again certified as a top employer. And that's our human brand. That's the people we employ. That's the environment we try to create for our staff. So investing in staff is fundamental. And then, we're talking about intermediate. This is a podcast to you, our intermediaries, and we really want to say thank you too. You recognize us as being the top personal lines and the top corporate insurer. They're voted by you during the course of 2017. So hopefully that talks a bit about the value that we're adding to you. We aren't there yet, but we certainly do want to make working with Santam as easy as it can be for you and really delivering for our clients through you at the end of the day. So some good things too happened during the course of 2017.
So Andrew, you've spoken about the awards and accolades Santam's received. How do you think Santam's maintained this position in what is, let's be honest, a very competitive and very commoditized industry?
I think we've invested a lot now in our technology platforms and certainly that in an environment where risk is increasing like it is, as we talked about earlier, you've got to do the right thing for the right client still. So the pool is important for insurance. Cross-subsidization has been how we've built our business. But when you come and talk to the individual, they want to know that they are paying the right thing for their risk. So finding that balance and moving there over time has been an important journey. So the investment in the technology, our rating tools, we've rolled out new rating platforms across the business now. We've picked a system called Guidewire. It's new for us. It's an American-based system, but we picked it not because it's particularly got nice colors, etc. It's because we believe it to be the best rating and rules engine available in the market. And we really hope that will add real value to our clients. We've spent a lot on data. We've mentioned that a little bit earlier as well. So data now is fundamental to understanding your risk better. It's aggregated by the fact that our brokers know our clients really well, so there's insight as well in terms of their local relationship and their local knowledge. But using data to properly understand your risks and then to proper reach your client at the point of their need has been key. So we're really investing in data, in our technology platforms, also in our service models, focus on customer relationship management, using the best of breed technology platforms in that space has been key. And then ultimately, we're investing, I think, in our people. You know, we can talk about technology and we can talk about changing customer dynamics. We can talk about all those things in the business. But there's got to be somebody who still responds to that change, makes decisions to implement those things, makes those decisions happen quickly. And that still comes back to the people in your business. So, I want to put a shout out there to all the Santam staff as well who are committed to making a difference, to living up to that brand promise of insurance good and proper as how we need to do things. So, and to respond also to all those intermediaries out there who align to that and take that on upon themselves too. So technical skills will fundamentally differentiate every insurer over time, every broker over time. So we're spending a lot of emphasis on getting our skills in our business to the levels that our intermediaries would expect from us, that our clients can expect from us, and that we expect from ourselves.
Now, of course, we see from the claims over the last year increases in climatic change, whether you're Trump or not, a Trump supporter or not, the weather is changing. But what are the impacts on this going to be on premiums next year? What are your brokers going to be facing and having to tell their clients? Because I suspect those premiums are going to come up. High claims ratios don't result in low premium increases.
We definitely have seen a shift in the base risk pool. So fundamentally, we are in a different space. And I think particularly in the property space, we are going to be driving double-digit rate increases going forward into 2018. And that's tough because it's counter-cyclical in many ways. We try and put through these big increases when customers can least afford it, but that is happening. But it's not the only thing we're going to be doing. I think it's really cause for us to really focus on our segmentation models in our business. With any risk pool, there are good risks and there are bad risks. And what we want to do is make sure that everybody in the risk pool carries their own weight. I think that's critical. And that means basically if you have an individual risk where the risk protection, the risk management isn't being focused on properly, if you want to use good risk to subsidize that bad risk, it means that your good risk, ultimately the customer is paying too much there. So we need to get each risk balancing its own weight in the risk pool. So the segmentation models and the focus on that is going to be really key going forward into 2018. But at the end of the day, we have been, from an insurance perspective, driving over a long period of time now, single-digit rate increases aligned to inflation wherever we possibly could. But there is no doubt that there's a fundamental inflation cost growth around property in particular that's way exceeded. Property inflation growth has been more than 10% for a number of years, and we haven't kept pace with that. So
Andrew, is that because property prices have gone up or building costs have gone up? What's driving that property inflation?
So this is very much about the building cost that's gone up. So it's your cost of your labor, it's your cost of your cement. So to a degree of the exchange rate, lots of that stuff is dependent on a broader economy and ecosystem. So the combination of these things have all had an impact.
Well, thank you very much. And I must say, I'm just making a little note that I think we definitely in future podcasts need to cover that data story, big data, big discussion. We're getting some queries through from brokers on that. So I think that's definitely something we'll cover.
Absolutely. A good space, an exciting space.
Exciting space. Well, is it Big Brother or is it helping us? I think that's the question to be asking. But we hope that you, the listener, took something away from today's episode. And please remember, Intermediate is not a one-way street. We want to hear from you. So please share your thoughts, questions, and story ideas with us by emailing at santambrokers@santam.co.za. And for your convenience, you can listen to the show either on your phone or computer using the podcast player on the Santam Broker portal or through the podcast app available on iTunes. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to presenting the next episode of Intermediate in mid-January. I think, Andrew, you and I are going to get back together again. Goodbye from me, Maya Fisher-French, and on behalf of Andrew.
Yeah, thank you, Maya, and thank you again to all the brokers out there. I hope you find some value and please engage with us. Have a good holiday.